Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to City and State Pennsylvania's 50 over 50 virtual event. I am so thrilled to be here, see all of you, have all of you, bring all of you together. I was chosen, I suspect, because I am well over 50. My name is Dennis Owens. I'm an anchor here at ABC 27 in Harrisburg. In fact, the 5 o'clock news has just begun, and about 35 minutes from now, I got to go do the 6 o'clock news. I'll pass the baton of the emceeing, but I'm thrilled to be here for the top part of the show. I am not just a reporter, I'm a Capitol reporter here and an anchor, and I'm the host of This Week in Pennsylvania, which is a statewide political talk show. Please check your local listings. I can tell you as a journalist, it is a dwindling art. I won't say dying art, but it is a dwindling art. And I'm thrilled that City and State Pennsylvania is now on the scene and joining us. It has very quickly, in its infancy, become a reputable source of pertinent news and information about local and state politics. We certainly welcome them into the swimming pool of journalism. The more, the merrier. Tonight, we celebrate prominent leaders in government, business, media, and beyond over the age of 50 that have been nominated and chosen to make up the City and State 2021 50 over 50, which debuted, by the way, in a very special edition magazine just yesterday. Look for that. This virtual event was made necessary by COVID-19, which of course has disrupted lots of plans for a long time now. Jim Gaffigan said the other day, remember when we thought coronavirus was over? Yeah, that was a good day. I got to give a shout out. Holding a virtual event for the often technologically challenged over 50 set is daunting, but I am confident that tonight will go well. At least if practice is any indication, tonight will go well. We have a terrific program for you, but first, a thanks to our sponsors, AARP of Pennsylvania, I guess that's fitting for a 50 over 50. Independence Blue Cross, that's also fitting. Laborers Local Union 57, Urban Affairs Coalition. And before we get started, we have a special video from our lead sponsor, AARP Pennsylvania. Pay attention to this.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living. No home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion that inspired AARP. Today, we empower people to choose how they live as they age. As a wise friend and fierce defender, we advocate for better health, financial security, and stronger communities. AARP, join us in making a difference.
And our thanks to AARP Pennsylvania for that special video and for being our lead sponsor. Sponsors, of course, are very important on an undertaking like this. Our first speaker tonight, and I'm thrilled because I've been a fan for a long time and an admirer. He's a Pennsylvania native and one of the 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honorees. He's the host of a daily radio program heard nationwide on SiriusXM's POTUS channel. He is also the host of CNN's Smerconish, which airs Saturdays at 9 a.m. He was a longtime newspaper columnist for the Philadelphia Daily News and the Sunday Philadelphia Inquirer, and his columns have been routinely reprinted in newspapers all across the country. He's the author of 7 books and has donated all of the proceeds from 4 of them to charity. One was a novel called Talk, for which the television rights were optioned by Warner Brothers. His latest book is titled Clowns to the Left of Me, Jokers to the Right, American Life in Columns. His one-man live performance, Things I Wish I Knew Before I Started Talking, is currently running on Hulu. He is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Lehigh University and the University of Pennsylvania Law School. He resides in the Philadelphia suburbs, where he and his wife have raised 4 children. Michael Smerconish, thanks so much for joining us on a question that I, as the host of a political show in the state, have always wanted to ask you. You know, it's interesting when I report that there's a fire on Chestnut Street or a shooting on Market Street, nobody doubts it, nobody questions it, nobody challenges it. But if you bring up one thing negative about a Republican or say something perhaps critical of a Democratic governor, the political forces come out and they insist that you're either in bed with the Republicans or pro-Democrat. How do you as a media member navigate those very partisan and rocky waters?
Dennis, let me first say I want to thank the Academy. And I'm so appreciative of the bling that you've bestowed upon me. Look at that. Actually, I'm holding this up only to shake up all of the other recipients, because right now they're wondering, where's my award?
Where's theirs?
Yeah, this happens to be my punt, pass, and kick trophy from 1972, and I haven't won anything since like this. So I just thought I'd wave it at all of you to get things underway. But thank you for that. The serious answer to your question is this: the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. I mean, that's what I've come to after 30 years of paying close attention, having been brought up and very active in the Republican Party, and then having left the GOP, and having decided that, frankly, all along, I probably belong somewhere in the middle with non-party affiliates, as we call them in Pennsylvania, or independents, as we call them nationally. And I think the better question is to ask, what's driving this? And how the heck did it ever get so bad? My short answer is that there are a variety of circumstances. They include closed primaries. They include dark money. They include gerrymandering. They include something we don't pay enough attention to discussing, which is self-sorting. It's not only that the politicians are redrawing those boundary lines every 10 years for state legislative and congressional boundaries, but people more and more are deciding to live among the like-minded. Social media, as we saw with Frances Haugen, the whistleblower last week, I think is also making it a more divisive environment. But if you ask me what accounts for it more than anything, and this may sound odd coming from someone who earns his keep behind a microphone each and every day, I think it's the media. And I've had a front row seat to watching the transition over the last 30 years, coming of age on a Philadelphia talk radio station that was comprised of so-called talent that was from all across the ideological spectrum, because all that really mattered then was making the telephone lines ring and sustaining a conversation. And it didn't matter whether it was an R or a D or an I who was calling. You just wanted to engage people and hope that others were listening. But along the way, we went in a different direction, where the glue is no longer sustaining a conversation, but rather bringing out the political and ideological differences among us. And if I were to chart for you on a graph the changes that I've witnessed in the media in the last 3 decades, it would correlate with a similar increasing level of polarization, both in Washington and in Harrisburg and in state capitals all across the country. Only I don't see correlation, I see causation. And the short answer is that we have ceded the ground for our discourse to the loudest voices in the room. Not the most sensible, but the loudest. And I think it's done the country a disservice. And until we wake up and, as I like to say, change the channel, whatever the channel might be that you're watching, including those where I appear, and get some balance in our news diet, until we start to do that, I think we're destined for this terrible path to continue.
I've had a thought. I want you to react to it. I have told people that after 7 o'clock, don't turn on MSNBC, Fox News, CNBC, or CNN even, because those people are in the business of being talking heads and trying to irritate people and get people inflamed and fired up. And they go to almost to crazy extremes. And as you just pointed out, most people are in the middle, but those groups, and by the way, their networks are trying to make money on that very principle. But it's driving a wedge between Americans. Agree,
right.
Disagree?
So my answer is not to say don't watch, but to watch it all. I mean, look, I'm affiliated with one of those networks, and I'd like to still have a job at City and State. But my answer is to say use that clicker effectively. By all means, you should be watching Chris Cuomo on CNN, but you should probably also know what Sean Hannity is saying. And don't go to bed without recognizing what Rachel Maddow's take might be on the circumstance. Unfortunately, too many of us are hunkered down in these ideological silos where the world is a world of Slate, Salon, and MSNBC, or an AM brand of talk radio, Breitbart and Drudge and Fox News. And never shall the two meet. That's the problem. And this added information that we got from Facebook last week about how the newsfeed algorithm is manipulated to keep you hooked with contentious content is maybe the worst of all, because at least you know what you're getting when you tune in to a cable outlet or radio station. But when you're getting it from your news feed, you get lulled into thinking that you are well read from diverse sources, and that's not the case.
And maybe, and last question, maybe the viewers need to be more educated on what is journalism, what is fact, and what is the equivalent of a column in a newspaper, which is the opinion that we're talking about on these late night or later in the evening shows.
That's a good comment. I mean, you used to know what you were getting on the front page of a newspaper versus the editorial page of a newspaper, but there's been a bleed now. I call it infotainment. And more often than not, it resembles the wrestling that I grew up loving and watching on UHF, or was it VHF? I always got them confused, on Saturday mornings. You know, we're back in the era of George the Animal Steel, Haystacks Calhoun, and Chief Jay Strongbow.
Michael Smerconish, congratulations to you. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. It's very special to have you. And congratulations on the punt, pass, and kick award. I remember that competition. Thanks so much. We really do appreciate it.
Have a great night.
All right. Our next speaker, boy, I tell you what, we've got the heavy hitters out here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, he was the district attorney of Philadelphia. He was the mayor of Philadelphia. He was the 43rd governor of Pennsylvania. And Governor Ed Rendell, I don't know if you remember it, but sitting in the backyard of the governor's mansion in the summertime with the dogs at your little inflatable pool while you were waiting for a budget to come through, I joined you on one of those days. So welcome, Ed Rendell, to honor our Lifetime Achievement Honoree, Donna Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Ed Rendell.
Well, thanks, Dennis. And let me say for the record, I never remember you criticizing me. Not one. That was a funny day. We were in one of our summer deadlocks on the budget. I think it was mid-July. And I was staying in Harrisburg to make the point that the legislature was back home. I was working on the budget. Where were they? So I announced that I'd be having a press conference at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning by the pool at the governor's residence. And the media went wild. They started frothing at the mouth because they didn't know that I had put in a swimming pool at the governor's residence. And they were ready to write articles blasting me, wasting the taxpayers' money on a swimming pool for myself and my family. So the press pours over. I had every reporter in a 50-mile radius. And in fact, I was having a press conference by the pool, by this big inflatable, blue inflatable pool, and my two golden retrievers were bathing in the pool when they came over. And the golden retrievers made the front page of the Patriot. But it was, seriously, it was a real joy having you cover for the 8 years I was in Harrisburg. You were fair, you could be tough, but you were always fair. And now let me talk about someone who was tough and most of the times fair, most of the times. One of our honorees tonight, and before I begin, let me congratulate all of the youngsters who are being honored tonight. All these people, they're very green, and when they get older, they'll be better public servants and better citizens, but they're very young. You have to understand that. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Donna Cooper. I think everyone in our business knows Donna, but a lot of people who she's helped, literally tens of thousands of people who she's helped, never knew her name. They never knew that their youngest daughter went to full-day kindergarten, even though her two oldest daughters didn't, and her youngest daughter became a doctor. They'll never know that it was Donna Cooper who made that possible. So many other things Donna was responsible for. She was described by the press in many ways. I think there was a Sunday magazine article, when the Empire still had a Sunday magazine. There was an article on Donna saying, the Sandinista of the Rendell administration, when we were in Philadelphia. And compared to some of us, she truly was a Sandinista. But then there were people who called her Saint Donna, or the only person in the capital who cares about education. And what marks Donna as such an unbelievable person, an unbelievable public servant, is her passion combined with her competence. Passion without competence is usually of no avail. Competence without passion is wasted. But Donna is both passionate and competent. She made things happen. She made change a reality. When people thought we couldn't do this or couldn't get that done, Donna persevered. And you know, in Harrisburg, and I'm sure this is true in Washington, D.C. and other capitals, in Harrisburg, sometimes it's a game. People, even in my administration, we were going to win. We were going to win the day. And I had to remind them, it's not for us to win, it's for the people to win. And Donna never let us forget it. She was our pole star. She was the person who always dragged us back and said, all right, guys, enough of this winning and losing. It's time to do what's right for the people. So for this and for so many countless other things, Donna Cooper is a great person to lead off the 50 over 50 award. And I thank City and State for honoring these great people and honoring Donna.
Thank you, Governor. Donna, you have to unmute.
We can't believe
the sentence, the ultimate sentence of 2021, right? Well, you know, thank you, Governor, and thank you to Dennis, and of course to City and State. It's my honor to be talking with you all tonight. Those of you who know me here, some of you might know that I'm much more comfortable working in the back rooms, devising strategy to win policy battles, or laboring over detailed memos to support new ideas, mostly Ed's, and now with increasing frequency, organizing protests. So suffice to say that I'm very gratified that the contribution that I've made to our city and our state is considered on par with the other honorees tonight. Thank you, City and State, for this distinction. You know, I entered adulthood with a very simplistic vision as a disciple of Ayn Rand and emboldened by the women's movement spurred by Gloria Steinem. I was a starry-eyed suburban, thrilled about being the possibility of an accountant at a Big 8 firm. Yep, I couldn't wait to get a seat at the table, applying my finance skills to exact more profits for corporate America. But once I began to travel to developing nations and America's inner cities, I saw the ravages of inequality and poverty up close. The myth that had been drilled into me that the poor were lazy, undeserving takers rapidly shattered. And my sheltered worldview cracked when I began to understand that the deck was stacked against my fellow citizens. I abandoned the bastion of numbers crunchers and as fast as possible jumped into the battleship of bureaucracy. I embraced the tools of government to level the playing field. And as I began to navigate these new waters, I met believers just like me, true believers like Congressman Follietta and Mayor Good, and amazing civic leaders like Rosemary Greco and Marcine Madelman, and public servants like Bob Barnett, our dear friend, and David Cohen, this esteemed Philadelphian, and the hero of public education, David Hornbeck. And of course, Ed Rendell. The spotlight's on me right now, but in truth, it lights the stage of Ed's many acts of brilliance, his courage, and his political prowess. Ed's unbridled love for our city, his passion for making government work even for the least among us, and his uncanny compass that always points him in the right direction, also afforded me the opportunity to make a difference. The civic impact we celebrate here tonight would not be possible without a vibrant network of independent media. And Michael Smerconish already spoke to this. But let me add that City and State is the media network, the network of media's amplifier, turning up the volume so that we can know what's happening in this experiment we call democracy. That experiment in our civil society is under threat. Michael talked about it, from the voracious algorithms of Facebook to the greed-driven hedge funds wiping out local newsrooms, to the stealth purchases of television stations by adherents of autocracy. I didn't need that one stint as an accountant to see that all of this was in service of greater profits at the expense of our democracy. And that's why I'm especially honored to accept City and State's award tonight, because all of us, because for all of us, City and State is a critical column of the infrastructure of a free and democratic society. You know, I've dedicated my life to putting children first, and that free and democratic society we must all work harder to defend every day for our children and our children's children. Thank you to City and State for doing your part. Thank you, of course, to Governor Rendell for all he's done. And I guarantee you, I will continue to do mine. Thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you, Donna. Governor, are you surprised at all that she just knocked that out of the park?
No, I would have bet my life against a nickel.
Donna, you were terrific. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Governor. Always great to see you. Go Eagles. They got a big game Thursday night against Tampa Bay. Thanks so much, Governor. Thank you, Donna. Okay, next we're going to hear from Cherise Lilly. She's Chief Executive Officer of CRL Consulting, who will be giving introductory remarks for President and Vice President of Community Affairs for Independence Blue Cross Foundation and Independence Blue Cross as well. A 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree, Reverend Dr. Lorena Marshall Blake. So first off, please welcome Cherise. Hi, Cherise.
Hi, how you doing, Dennis? Thank you so much. It's my honor this evening to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Reverend Dr. Lorena Marshall Blake. Lorena is so much more than these titles that you just heard. President of the Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Vice President of Community Affairs for Independence Blue Cross, Public Relations, Communications, and Corporate Management expert, and local, regional, and national leader of her venerable sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Lorena's ministry at the Vine Memorial Baptist Church is legendary. Lorena's superpower is her faith. Her commitment to community service and community empowerment knows no bounds. This is a very well-deserved honor, and Lorena has been honored by numerous community organizations for her leadership in the community, such as the NAACP, Living Beyond Breast Cancer, the Philadelphia Tribune, and the United Way. The list goes on. And most recently, this powerhouse has joined the board of directors of the Mann Center for the Performing Arts. Lorena's affiliation and devotion to the support of over 30 professional, civic, and philanthropic organizations defies gravity. This distinguished alumna of Antioch College and the University of Pennsylvania is a superstar among superstars. Congratulations, Lorena, on this well-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award from City State, Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Cherise, for those kind words. And thank you for your friendship and more importantly, your mentorship. I'm just so very grateful to be able to share this evening with you. It's such an honor, I believe, to receive this award. And I want to personally thank everyone at City and State and congratulate my fellow honorees. What an amazing group. I just feel like I'm with high timber. When I think back on my life and I think about my career, I think mostly of people, those who encouraged and supported my dreams and aspirations. First, Cherise mentioned my faith, but first to God be the glory for the opportunity to be in this position for such a time as this. I want to thank my parents, my pastor, my church, my second grade teacher who always told me yes, my high school history teacher and class sponsor for telling me every day that I could be anything I believed I could be. The sky was only the limit, and even then, the sky wasn't even the limit. These are truly the heroes and sheroes of my life. Most people know that I'm a West Philly girl, born and raised. I'm fiercely proud of my roots, which are steeped in spirituality and culture. Though my upbringing was modest, my family, my church, my community, again, the village instilled in me a belief, again, that I could do anything and be anything. And yes, I believe I could fly. But that belief came with a huge responsibility to give back. So service became a lifelong mission for me. As mentioned, I've worked with more than 30 professional and civic organizations. Again, they mentioned United Negro College Fund, the Urban League of Philadelphia, even the Urban Affairs Coalition. Though through these affiliations, I've met many lifelong friends. I'm also extremely blessed, no pun intended, to have served as an associate minister at Vine Memorial Baptist Church since 1993. To me, this has been one of the best ways to serve my community, and I've treasured every moment being boots on the ground. And this year, I'm celebrating my 30th year with Independence Blue Cross. I learned very early on that you can do a lot more working with others than you could ever do alone. Fortunately, I work for a company that values and thrives on partnerships. And I'm so proud today to be the president of the Independence Blue Cross Foundation. Simply put, I believe I've got the best job in the world. Through the work we do to create sustainable change in healthcare, especially in underserved communities, I'm able to help my neighbors and my community live healthier, happier lives. One initiative near and dear to my heart is our Nurses for Tomorrow program, which provides scholarship funding to more than 20 local nursing schools. After the past year, who doesn't know how important nurses are to our healthcare system? To date, our program has awarded more than $14 million to help nursing students succeed. Just this morning, we announced a new collaboration with Temple University to create a pathway into nursing for high school students of color. By making the nursing profession even more diverse, this type of program can help reduce health disparities by increasing culturally competent care. Another foundation program I'm passionate about is called Supporting Treatment and Overdose Prevention, or STOP. STOP seeks to end the stigma around addiction and increase equitable access to treatment for opioid use disorder. Last week, we launched the second season of our Someone You Know podcast series, which highlights true stories of individuals and families who have struggled with opioid use disorder. I'm proud that this podcast has been heard in all 50 states and 48 countries. Please check it out. People who know me know that I can't resist a good quote. One of my favorites comes from the late, again, one of my sheroes, the great Dr. Maya Angelou. I believe a true national treasure. It's something I try to live by each and every day. As Miss Angelou would say, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. It makes me feel so joyful to see how it feels when a young person gets their nursing degree, or someone finds the courage to seek help for an addiction. As for me tonight, I feel grateful and humbled. I feel proud of my company and its commitment to our region. And while we are together virtually, I can feel your love. Thank you so much for this lifetime recognition, but there's still a lot left to do. And you know what? I can't wait to find out what's next. Thank you so much.
First of all, Lorena, that beautiful hat and flower, but I want news anchor to you. Let me ask you a question. Did you just read a teleprompter, or was that right off the top of your head?
I'll never tell.
It was sensational. Thank you so much for that uplifting message, and congratulations to you. Charisse, thank you as well. We appreciate your introduction.
Thank you so much.
Next up, and it's fittingly that we're listening to this because we're going to hear from our sponsor, Independence Blue Cross. I think we're having some technical issues, unless I'm just not hearing it. So it's a technical issue. We want to work on that, maybe come back to that. How does that sound? Let's give it one more try.
Good evening.
There we go.
I want to congratulate everyone named to the City and State PA 50 over 50 list. This is a diverse group of Pennsylvanians in a range of fields, but they have at least two things in common. Number one, let's call it experience. Number two, these leaders are using their experience and talent to make the Commonwealth a better place to live and work in the 21st century. Thank you. On behalf of Independence Blue Cross, I want to recognize the distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award recipients, including our colleague, Lorena Marshall Blake. Lorena is so much more than a colleague and friend. She's family. She's someone I admire and learn from, In particular, her commitment to service and her love for her neighbors and community. Congratulations, Lorena. I also want to thank City and State for continuing to shine the spotlight on Pennsylvania. There are so many great things going on here, and they deserve to be celebrated. At Independence Blue Cross, we call Pennsylvania home. Even as our state has battled COVID-19, we've seen our citizens, our healthcare professionals, our community, and government leaders rise to the occasion. Independence has been proud to stand with all of you. We're committed to meeting every health need of those we serve, including mental health. Our healthcare system needs to treat the body and the mind in tandem. We're also committed to increasing equity in healthcare. Your race, gender, or zip code should not determine your access to care, your health outcomes, or how long you live. Together, these priorities lead to our focus on equitable whole person health. We're working with government, business, and nonprofit worlds to help build a healthcare system and a society that values everyone equally and provides everyone an opportunity to live a long, happy, healthy life. Once again, congratulations to all those recognized for all you've done and all you will do, past, present, and future.
Thanks very much to Independence Blue Cross for those remarks and, of course, for their sponsorship. Next, we will hear from Shakima J. Fulmore Townsend. She is the president and CEO of Philadelphia Youth Network. She's going to be giving introductory remarks for Brown Superstores founder, president, and CEO, and 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree, Jeffrey Brown. Please welcome Shakima. And I have to bid adieu and jump into the news wars, but you'll be in very good hands with Jenny DeHuff from here on moving forward. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks so much to City and State Pennsylvania for inviting me. Shakima, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dennis, and good evening, everyone. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Jeff Brown, a man I respect and admire for his generosity, authenticity, and his consistency. To know Jeff Brown is to know a friend, a man who leads with his beliefs, a community champion, and a true change agent. Whether it's his lifetime work as a grocer and owner of Brown ShopRite and Fresh Grocers, as a philanthropist ending food deserts through Uplift Solutions, or an employer giving first jobs to young people and second chances to returning citizens, or as a supporter of small businesses through the PA 30-Day Fund or chair of the State Workforce Board. Jeff Brown leads through action, and his efforts are well lauded both nationally and across the Commonwealth. Please help me extend an ardent congratulations and warm welcome to City and State Honoree, Mr. Jeff Brown.
Thank you so much, Shakima. I've worked with Shakima for quite a while because for 17 years I was on the board of the Philadelphia Youth Network, that Shakima is the president and CEO. The last 6 years as chairman, we work very closely, and she is amazing, absolutely amazing. I also wanted to thank City and State, especially because the list is so fantastic of the people's being honored. And so many of the people on the list I've worked a lifetime with to try to make change. And I don't know how you pick the list, but it's very, very impressive. As a young boy, my dad was a small-time grocer, and interestingly enough, he had a store in West Philadelphia. And my dad would take me to work with him on the weekend, and I worked with employees that lived in the local neighborhood, and I worked with the local customers as a young boy, maybe 8, 9 years old. And I would spend a lot of time with them. They taught me the grocery business, and they explained to me what was going on in their lives. And I was shocked to find out about the structural type of poverty that affected their lives, the violence in their neighborhoods, the sort of a stickiness or structural nature of their circumstances. Here we are almost 50 years later, and I happened to open a store not far from my dad's original store. And some of those same families still shop in my business. and I bump into them. And, 50 years later, things really haven't changed. Their circumstances are still the same. And the impact that their stories have had on my life as a young boy has really guided everything I've done in my career, because I just thought there was an injustice being committed. Poor design, poor planning, a lack of interest, a lack of getting involved. And so after graduating college, I worked for a short time, and I wanted to take a shot at addressing the first problem, which was food deserts, or the lack of healthy and affordable food for underprivileged families. We had figured out a way to change what is normal grocery procedures to make that work, and had the privilege of working with the Obamas to take what we learned and spread it nationally and create national policy. Along the way, some of my employees mentioned to me, and customers, that a lot of people in West Philly and North Philly and Southwest Philly, where we had stores, were incarcerated before, and they have records, and the records prevent them from working. And maybe 20 years ago, we started to hire people with records, formerly incarcerated people, or the modern term is returning citizens. And to my surprise, a lot of these people, young people, older people, they kind of reminded me of me as a kid. They're ambitious, but their circumstances, the structural poverty and inequity they live with, gave them not the options I had, and they ended up incarcerated. And I really learned to love the work of helping them come into my world and learn about groceries and be successful in the grocery business. Today, we have 500 returning citizens working for us, about 36 of which are in management, some of them in fairly senior management. And, I found out one day, because I have a goal that everyone in management should own their own home. That's part of the American dream. And I found out that my managers that were returning citizens, it just wasn't happening. And I come to discover that it's really hard to get a mortgage if you're a returning citizen. It's even hard to live in public housing. So I don't know where a person would live if they made a mistake and they have a record. And so I joined a fairly new organization, Philadelphia Legal Society for Social Equity, because I felt that when you've proven yourself as an asset to society, your record should be erased. It should be a sponge. And we've worked hard to expunge thousands of people's records so they could return to make a living and to buy a house and do what all other Americans do. In the past couple of years, I was really concerned that the anemic rate of entrepreneurs of color would be completely obliterated due to the COVID situation. And so we started the PA30 fund to try to save women-owned and businesses of color throughout the state. I spend a lot of time calling the ones that are in Philadelphia. And it really impacted my life to hear them getting choked up about their circumstances of second mortgages and credit card debt, and their fleeting opportunity at the American dream. So of course we had given them grants to keep their businesses afloat, but a number of them said to me, Mr. Brown, I operate a business that could do business in your business. And so about a year and a half ago, we started a small business incubator to bring in these small businesses and give them a chance. And so when you walk in our stores, you will see a lot of people hustling, selling their local products. And I sit with our counselors that work with them, and I'm just so hopeful for the future of our country, because I see legitimate first-class entrepreneurs that just need a little help. All this leaves me with the belief that the structural poverty we have, the gun violence we have, the homelessness, these are design problems that can be fixed, that we could do much better. And I certainly, although I accept the fact that I'm being honored in an AARP program, I certainly think that there's a lot more I could do to advance society. And I look forward to working with the people on this call to do just that. Thank you so much for this honor.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We really appreciate you being here. As some of you may know, I'm Jenny DeHuff, editor of City and State Pennsylvania. In only 6 months, we have produced 4 of these glossy beauties now, in addition to the daily exclusive content that you see on our website. I am so proud of this publication. We have successfully revamped City and State Pennsylvania to become a leading source for all of your political news and covering all corners of the state. I love what Donna Cooper said about being the media's network's amplifier. Here's why. With each issue, we strive to offer you a snapshot of an industry in Pennsylvania that gives you a sense of the pivotal issues, challenges, and triumphs that a particular segment of the state is facing. Our lists are carefully crafted and curated by our editorial and advisory boards and are put together with the hopes of bringing you insight into who is making moves in your part of the state. And with issues like this latest one, we are saluting top leaders in all kinds of fields all across the Keystone State. But before we get into that, let's take a minute to hear from one of our sponsors, the Urban Affairs Coalition.
For many of you that are a part of the UAC world, you know we have approximately 70 plus program partners who are affiliated with the Urban Affairs Coalition. One of the things we know is that the coalition is exactly that, a group of 70 organizations who all believe that impact is created by working together to better increase the quality and success in our communities. The uniqueness is that UAC has the ability to form partnerships and provide support and opportunity for nonprofits to work together. While there are a number of organizations in this space, the reality is we're all trying to solve the same problems, which is reducing poverty in our community. We are all working to create opportunity and make impact. That's the power of the coalition.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Urban Affairs Coalition, for that video. Next, we'll hear from Grant Rawdon, Vice Chair and Chair Emeritus for Urban Affairs Coalition and founder and CEO for Westcott Financial Advisory Group, who will be giving introductory remarks for Urban Affairs Coalition's President and CEO and 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree, Charmaine Matlock Turner. Please welcome Grant.
Great. Thanks so much, Jenny. And what a great video was. I remember many of those scenes, and it was great to see videos of the big breakfasts we used to have before COVID. And I'm hopeful that we'll all be back to that again, where we'd have 1,000 people and everybody will remember who attended. It was a great networking, otherwise, just a fabulous event. So I am pleased to be here this evening. Thank you for the privilege of introducing my very great friend and my civic business partner, Charmaine Matlock Turner. As Jenny said, I am proud to have served as Urban Affairs Coalition's Chair Emeritus, and inexplicably, I find myself currently serving as UAC's Vice Chair again, because the woman we're honoring this evening, Charmaine, tells us there's no rest until the work is done. And then if you know Charmaine, she then tells you the work is never done. So we continue. Charmaine, as you know, is the President and CEO of UAC, a 52-year-old nonprofit that today serves more than 250,000 individuals in the greater Philadelphia region. Charmaine herself is known regionally and nationally as someone who unites those who lead with those who are in need. In 1999, Charmaine became the first woman to lead the coalition. For the next 22 years, Charmaine has driven UAC and our mission, a mission of uniting government, business, neighborhoods, and individuals to improve quality of life in our region, building wealth in urban communities, and solving emerging issues. Well, how has Charmaine done in driving change from the ground up? Under Charmaine's leadership, UAC has quintupled in size, growing from under $20 million in revenue to a $100 million organization, adding skilled staff and increasing the number of our program partners. And our program partners are so critical to us. They provide a wide range of impactful services to our most vulnerable populations, who, as you know, in our region are way too many. Like any truly great business leader, Charmaine has built an enduring infrastructure of people and technology that supports growth into our future. And I believe her, and you will too, and I'm sure you do, when Charmaine says, I'm just getting started. But we want her to keep going. For example, Charmaine, like other great leaders we're honoring tonight, exhibited transformational leadership during the pandemic, which for UIC was anything but a remote experience. Our programs were never more critical. Our staff was never more dedicated. Times were never more fraught with stress and uncertainty. But Charmaine's dedication to convene all stakeholders on many of these matters and matters of race and racism in America gave context to the waves of racial divide and frustrations unfurling in our community these past years. Actionable, Charmaine has used every pulpit she has, CEO of UAC, print and television media, respected relationships in the business community, her reputation among government leaders, her leadership in the Chamber of Commerce, and the many, many for-profit and non-for-profit boards that she serves on to engage conversation and to strategize solutions. In 2020, Charmaine convened UAC's signature effort, the Ending Racism Partnership, focused on developing key actionable strategies and engagement for the movement to end racism. And Charmaine continues to lead the way by turning words into action, facilitating racial healing, and challenging leaders to invest in and strengthen our communities. It is this perspective that was sought by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia when Charmaine was named a director by the Board of Governors in 2021. And as you can imagine, with so many constituencies and stakeholders in UAC, you can't please all the people all the time. And we have worked hard together deeply in so many different situations to bring people together. The majesty of Charmaine is that people trust her integrity, that she will do her best, and that alone oftentimes wins the day as well as the great solutions she finds. In addition to Charmaine's work with the UAC on behalf of urban communities on a big scale, she's also co-founder and chair emeritus of the 22-year-old West Oak Lane Charter School and lends her expertise to countless boards and committees that drive change at every level, from building on-ramps to move 400,000 Philadelphians out of poverty, to drawing the lines to protect Pennsylvania voters during redistricting. With that, I introduce you to my very, very dear friend and yours, Charmaine Matlock-Turner, a City and State PA and AARP Pennsylvania 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree for 2021. Congratulations, Charmaine, and all the other winners.
Grant, thank you so very, very much for that wonderful introduction. Grant has been just an absolutely terrific partner. I remember meeting with him and asking him, would he join the board of the coalition? And he said, Charmaine, I only join organizations that are really getting great things done. And I said, Grant, count on the fact that we are going to do that. So Grant is now chair emeritus, but he served as our chair for as long as our bylaws would allow him to do that. But he has stayed connected and involved as vice chair. And Grant, thanks so much for being here tonight. And no, you're not giving up any of those titles. I'm just letting you know in front of this big public audience. So thank you again. I am so deeply honored to have been selected as a 50 over 50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree, and among such a distinguished and wonderful group of people, many of them whom I know. And thank you to City and State for all that you do, and to AARP Pennsylvania for this opportunity to be recognized at this virtual event. As they say, life begins at 50. But I believe that life begins when you reach the end of your comfort zone. For me, that came at a very young age. I spent summers visiting my grandparents in Charlottesville, Virginia, traipsing around the hills of Virginia and being free all day. Baseball, peaches, church, on the porch, watermelon, and visiting all of our neighbors. At home in Philadelphia, my mother stressed responsibility. She taught me how to make my own clothes, lay carpet, and figure out how to paint the living room. These experiences, the contrast between freedom and responsibility, sparked my curiosity and drive to make a positive impact at an early age. I discovered my passion for being an active part of the community while serving in the NAACP and other African-American-led organizations while I was in college. But I also had been involved with organizations my entire life at different levels, whether it was at my church, the Girl Scouts, student government. By that time in my life, truly opened my eyes that there were real possibilities of change, that smart, dedicated, and talented women, men, and persons of all backgrounds could drive change if they could figure out how to work together. By working collectively towards audacious goals, and I could be a part of that change, I could learn and empower others to drive it. That brings me to the Urban Affairs Coalition, which you've heard so much about in our film and also from Grant, where I like to say, we are a home for dreamers and doers. We rely on the power of coalition and partnerships to seek progress and change on diverse issues that immediately affect communities. Many of those being honored tonight have been a part of the UAC family, a demonstration of partnerships working at their best. This includes my fellow honorees, my board members that I like to call my bosses. Reverend Lorena Marshall-Blake, congratulations. Dan Fitzpatrick, the same to you. To UAC partner and supporter Joanne Bell, and to our longtime advocacy partners. You've heard from Jeff Brown. We've had a long partnership with he and his wife, Sandy, working on a Thanksgiving basket program where we give out thousands of baskets to community leaders every year to feed those who are hungry in our communities. To State Senator Vincent Hughes, who has been the #1 supporter, which Shakima Townsend can certainly tell you about, of summer jobs in the city of Philadelphia. To my great friend, Donna Cooper, congratulations, who is always up when I make a call to say, Donna, we've got to go to Harrisburg. They need to hear us. And she says, okay, Charmaine, let's go, where we can advocate for youth and opportunities for children and their families. And Dr. Ala Stanford, who we are so excited at the coalition to honor this year with our Living Legacy Award. And a special congratulations to another Lifetime Achievement Award honoree, my dear friend, one of the best women that I know, and also one of my board bosses, former Councilwoman Marion B. Tasco, for all that you've done. And to all of the other honorees that I cannot go into, or I will get the hook and run out of time, congratulations. It is so well earned and deserved. Your collective work and achievements continue to inspire me in my personal and professional endeavors. It is because of our ability to step outside of our comfort zone, along with our shared commitment to solving big problems, that we've been able to make a difference over time for UAC and our respective organizations. So let me close by challenging each of you listening in tonight to step outside of your comfort zone, regardless of your age, whether it's leading more proactively, serving as a mentor, diving in to solve a new or ongoing problem in the community. Take the step. You may not see change happen quickly, but that's okay. Your commitment must always be to drive change regardless of the speed you're moving. It's the only constant in life. And your ability and agility to keep going will serve you well over time. Although the challenges we face are great, we are all individuals, but working together, we can drive real change for Pennsylvanians. Take the risk. Thank you all very, very much for this honor.
Thank you, Charmaine. Those are beautiful remarks. I like what you said about stepping outside of your comfort zone and your upbringing. I too made my own clothes when I was a teenager. I still have a dress in my closet, which I'm afraid to try on. But anyway, I digress. Next, we will hear from H. Patrick Clancy, President and CEO of Philadelphia Works, who will be giving introductory remarks for Citizens Mid-Atlantic Region, Mid-Atlantic Region's president and a 50/50 Lifetime Achievement Honoree. Daniel K. Fitzpatrick. Patrick, let's see the floor.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. Here we go. We're closing it up. This is why we got the closer, not me, by the way. I'm Patrick Clancy. For a little tidbit about, those that maybe don't know Dan Fitzpatrick as well as I do and how lucky I am. He was a closing pitcher in college. So this is only appropriate that we close out this piece of tonight's event and move on to the other one. But just a little bit about Dan and why, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, I decided I'm going to nominate him. Like, here's a man that works tirelessly in many roles, and not just in Philadelphia, but in Pittsburgh, right? Not just for the Greater Philadelphia Chamber or for the Allegheny Conference, and not just for, how blessed we are to have him as our chair of Philadelphia Works, but also on the Archdiocese Elementary Education Board and the Sattel Board and the Children's Hospital. Like, this is a man that has dedicated his entire Philadelphia experience, brought it to Pittsburgh, comes back again to Philadelphia, because as Citizens Bank, they're one of the few banks in communities that, other banks won't go. And he's been the absolute power man when it comes to making opportunity happen for young people, and his passion for making sure that the investments we make as an organization are actually going to services that will help individuals up a career pathway. So when I look at Dan and I try to figure out, like, how do I talk about somebody who is this good? It really falls into a couple categories. One, he's a brilliant businessman. Obviously, president of Citizens Bank, really has worked hard to ensure that small businesses get the appropriate resources they need. I also look at his desire and his interest in education, both at the early level and all throughout the range of opportunity, and then workforce development. We are lucky to have him. But of course, the biggest thing that I love about Dan, he is the ultimate Phillies fan. So for those of us that were lucky to watch 82 home games, I would say we were lucky to see Dan at least 50 times. Dan is the guy that stays, like, if there's anything about Dan that we've known throughout the years, I've known him and others have said, is he stays the entire game, whether it's raining, pouring, and that's his work ethic. Like, Dan stays focused on the task at hand, and I am thrilled that City and State has made him a Lifetime Achievement Award winner, because he truly deserves that. As a man that grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, father judge, LaSalle University, a man that just believes in, treating people the right way. I don't think that, City and State could pick a better person to be in this lineup with all the other folks. And I'm blessed to have some of my other board members also be nominated tonight. So I just want to say, congratulations, Dan. You deserve it. Love those green ties. Keep at it, buddy.
Pat, thank you so much for your really kind words. And it really, as we all know, everybody who works with Philly Works and in workforce development, we are so fortunate to have Pat Clancy at the helm. He's so dynamic. We're innovating. We're moving. It just really is a great time. Our challenges are significant, but Pat Clancy has been the right gentleman to lead us at Philly Works. So Pat, thanks for all you do. It really has been a real pleasure to be the chair over the past year and a vice chair for several years previously. Thanks for all you do. So again, it's interesting. When I first learned I was going to be recognized as a 50 over 50 honoree, I thought, this be a mistake. Wow. Guess time flies by here when you're having fun and keeping busy. But this really is a true honor. And I really do appreciate the recognition this evening. And thanks to City and State for facilitating the critical civic and political dialogue that is so necessary on the big issues that we face across our Commonwealth and in our city. And so thank you very much on that front. And of course, what an amazing group of honorees you have. I really am completely humbled to share this award with such distinguished co-honorees, all of whom I've had the privilege to get to know either professionally or personally over my years at Citizens and previously. And so very much congratulations to all of you. Great stories on all, but I will say Charmaine has been my partner. As Charmaine mentioned, she loved baseball in North Carolina, but Charmaine really has been a trusted confidant of mine for well over a decade. I think approaching 2 decades, Charmaine. So thanks for all you do on so many fronts, and really is such the friendship with you and Tony and everyone, but again, for everyone. So really, you know, I'm really privileged to be at Citizens, where we really do put customers and community at the center of everything we do, because that really goes hand in hand. What we know is what's good for our community and what's good for our customers will be good for the bank. It's a very virtuous cycle that we believe we live in and really work on. So again, our focus at Citizens has been really strengthening communities, giving back by investing, you know, the resources that create solutions to the toughest challenges in our neighborhoods. It's all about economic development, job training, small business development, affordable housing, and neighborhood revitalization. They're the big issues we tackle. But I've been fortunate to have such a simpatico relationship between myself and Citizens, because they've really always encouraged me at the bank to take on leadership roles in the community. And it's been a lot of fun, because this is a passion for me, as well as taking good care of our customers at Citizens and on the banking side. But really, so especially proud to spend time serving on a number of wonderful organizations at the board level, from around our, really driving innovation. That's what it's about. What we need is innovation, new ideas, new approaches to move us forward. So again, that innovation has been terrific. Everything from working with the Chamber of Commerce to the Urban Affairs Coalition, the Charmaine Leads, to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, to the Wistar Institute, to the Penn Abrams Cancer Center, and the Sattell Institute, which is trying to celebrate not-for-profit leadership and that combination between the corporate community and our great not-for-profit community. That's what we really need to drive, because it really has been a lot. My 15 years at Citizens, I've learned a lot, but one of the biggest lessons that continues to ring truer and truer each day really is the incredible power of partnerships. It really is about partnerships. So I've been the beneficiary of wonderful educational resources that we have in our region, as well as a network of mentors and internships. So that's what we've got to do for that next generation, particularly celebrating diversity is the real strength of Philadelphia as a region and in our global competitiveness. We've got to really cultivate that, enhance that, invest in that, and strive to be the best Philadelphia we can be. And that's really what our passion is. And that's where it really starts, at making sure that we have private business, government, not-for-profit organizations, civic leaders all coming together. Because if we come together, truly anything is possible. So again, and that starts with career awareness, right? We've got to start young. The bottom line is for young people and adults in our city, if you're not aware of great career opportunities, there's no way you're going to pursue it. So it really starts with career awareness, education, and training that are so important. So again, couple great examples of how this partnership works that we're really proud of. So in working with the Pat Clancy team, our Citizens Bank Regional Maritime Training Center really is a good example of what this partnership looks like, because it's complicated, right? It's collaborative. This is us as Citizens partnering with Philiport, Philadelphia Works, the Teamsters, the International Longshoremen's Association, and the Collegiate Consortium for Workforce and Economic Development to bring a first of its kind center to provide formal enhanced training opportunities to thousands of current and future employees working in the Philadelphia region's growing maritime industry. These are good paying, family sustaining jobs that without knowledge of these opportunities and the training, that access is not available to all in Philadelphia in this region. We've got to make sure that access is there, and it starts with training. So again, this is really, the consortium's a unique collaboration among the region's community colleges and Drexel University to drive workforce development training for those in-demand positions in the transportation, distributions, and logistics sector. So again, since our first investment in the center's inception in 2019, over 500 people have been trained for good paying, sustainable jobs in the port industry. And of course, as we come out of the COVID period, that will accelerate significantly, because these, again, good paying, family sustaining jobs and in super strong demand. If you want your Amazon packages delivered, there's a lot of opportunities in this sector. But also another thing we're very proud of is, in my time at Citizens was also a founding partner in University City District's West Philly Skills Initiative over 11 years ago. They are a model for employee-informed training programs. They've trained over 1,200 people for jobs at CHOP, Penn, SEPTA, the Philadelphia Fire Department, and now the Philadelphia Shipyard. Literally just 2 weeks ago, I was visiting the new cohort at the Philly Shipyard, where 14 people were trained as laborers help build ships and hopefully rise through the ranks, become skilled welders and sheet metal workers. That's what it starts, getting those people in our neighborhoods, diverse and inclusive workforce in our neighborhoods to these really good opportunities, because we need thousands of people to build these ships at the shipyard. And there's 13,000 jobs in and around the Navy Yard. With the training infrastructure, the skills initiative, and the PIDC, we can match more people to those high-paying and in-demand jobs. So again, these represent just two examples of the power that partnerships have. And at this time, when many employers in the Philadelphia region are seeking well-skilled individuals, citizens look forward to bringing more people and organizations together to fulfill one of our core missions. What we view, my role and the citizen role, is we are conveners. We've got great corporate clients like Hope Logistics. They need great workers at the port. Pat Clancy, Philly Works, how they train the school district of Philadelphia doing their part, the community colleges, everybody coming together, organized labor doing their part. Mayor Kenny was very instrumental in helping broker these kind of good arrangements. That's what this is about. So in closing, I just want to thank City and State again for this honor. I believe that this lifetime recognition, however, just signals the next chapter in my journey and not the end. So who knows, maybe next year age will be eligible to actually be eligible, right? So anyway, thank you so much for this, Pat. Thank you for your introduction, and to all the honorees, congratulations and thanks for what you do every day in Philadelphia and our Commonwealth to make this the best place it can be. And truly, we've got so many advantages to be a truly great, globally competitive region. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. Those are great remarks. You're awesome. Now, let's recognize the rest of the Lifetime Achievement Honorees who could not be with us tonight, as well as the full 50 over 50 list. In alphabetical order, let's raise a glass if you hear somebody you know or if it's your name. Phil Armstrong. Chris Bartlett. Darwin Bouveau. Joanne Bell. Anne Benzel. Ryan N. Boyer. Sandra Brooks. Ida Castro. Scott Charles. Guy Carochi. Daryl Clark. Jake Corman. Kathy Dowkemper. Madeline Dean. Michael Del Grasso. Margaret Dinany. Ed Dini. Adrian Garcia. Michael Garman. Robert Gleason. Peter Gonzalez. Gail Harity. Catherine Hicks. Ron Hicks. Vincent Hughes. Sam Katz. Stephanie Pashman. Michael Pearson. Sharon Pinkinson. Mark Pinsley. Kim Pizzingrilli. Maria Quinones Sanchez. Yvonne Roberts. Marlene Sample. Cynthia Shapira. David Skirpin. Jay Spector. Ayla Stanford. Andy Toy. Calvin Tucker. All right, Jeffrey Brown. This is the Lifetime Honorees section. Mortimer Tim Buckley. Esther Bush. Donna Cooper. Ezekiel Emmanuel. Daniel Fitzpatrick. Lorena Marshall Blake. Charmaine Matlock Turner. Michael Smerconish. Marion Tasco. All right, guys. That concludes City and State's 50 over 50 event. Thank you to all our Lifetime Achievement Honoree speakers and their introductory speakers. Thank you, everybody, for taking some time out of your night to be with us. And to all of our sponsors, AARP Pennsylvania, Independence Blue Cross, Laborers Local Union 57, Urban Affairs Coalition. Please remember to follow City and State Pennsylvania on your social media platforms and to stay up to date on all things City and State Pennsylvania and Pennsylvania politics. Subscribe to the newsletter and check out the website, of course. You can sign up on the website. And also check out our next event, which is the Pennsylvania Healthcare Summit on December 2nd. Keep an eye out for more details about this virtual summit on our website and on social media. And thank you to all of our attendees. I hope you enjoyed yourself and see you next time, hopefully even in person. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.